We've known each other many years. But it is the first time you come to my house for help. But I can remember the last time you invited me over to your house for dinner, or even a cup of coffee. But now you come to me today, my daughter is home from school, and you ask, how do you make the ragù? I understand. You want to honor your family. I will make them an offer they cannot refuse.
Hi everybody, welcome to a long overdue episode of Cooking with Dacaptain. And I have my precious little helper here. I've been holding off on this one for a while, but I'm really excited about it. And it is, of course, the stereotypical Italian dish, spaghetti and meat sauce, or spaghetti Bolognese. I really don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but who cares? That's the whole point. It's one of those debates. Is it Italian? Is it Italian-American? It doesn't really matter as long as you make it and you enjoy it. So I'm going to need you to help me, Cordy. Remember what I said? You stand over here. I'll tell you what I need. And here's the stove. I got a large pot ready to go. Can you hand me that bottle of olive oil, my love? Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and slosh some in here. It's going to be a fairly good amount. May need to start a new bottle soon, but no big deal. I think that should do it. If I need to add a little more, I can. Now, if little Messi can put down the little kitty cat and hand me that thing of onions, I am going to have her hand them to me.
That is just the onions?
That is certainly the onions. And then I'm going to have the unit on kind of high. Then move big guy shit.
Oh, there goes.
And you'll have to excuse our kitty cat because he's a little wild. Our newest member of the family is just all over the place, being a little mess. Okay, I'm ready to bring it back to the...
Sorry. Okay.
Hey,
Ready?
little helper, could you hand me the salt? I'm going to add the onions.
Oh, smells so good.
And you just put sprinkle some salt on the onions. And then you let them kind of saute. Don't need to have it on super high, but I just started a little high just so it could get hot. Come smell this, my love.
It's so good.
Don't worry about the kitty cat. He doesn't want to be a part of this. For one. Always seems like as soon as the onions start cooking, then the kitchen starts smelling really good. Would you hand me that small glass bowl that has garlic chopped up in it?
Yum.
Smells amazing.
So
The next
far,
thing's
yes.
going to go in is garlic. It's a good idea not to add the garlic until this has been going for a bit. Don't want to add it right at the start because then it'll easily scorch, which means that it's no good. All right, next is the garlic. Like I say, good time to add it now and not at the first because it'll burn otherwise, which is not good. And I need my helper again. Could you get me, Cordy, the celery?
In the bowl?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead and just throw that in. I turn the heat down just a tad. It's probably about a little more than medium at the moment. You adjust the heat to what you want. You just kind of want it to be going pretty good, but not so much that it's just burning everything at this point. You can always just adjust it. It's why you got a knob. Oops. Oh, could you hand me the pepper grinder? Thank you.
Yum.
Go ahead and grind some pepper in there. I can always add more. Nutmeg goes next. Don't need a ton of it. Very fragrant. All right.
Smells like garlic paste.
Yeah,
Or like
so good.
This is what part of what is known as the mirepoix. Actually, the other part of it is being consumed by my little girl. And why don't you just hand it to me now before
Yeah,
you
Courtney.
end up making it all disappear? It's, of course, the carrots. Yeah. And the carrots, of course, add a little bit of sweetness. And it's good to shred them. I mean, if you want to finely chop them, you can, but be sure you do finely chop them. But shredding them really works great. And I would say you could, as you see fit, add your herbs as you go along. But again, you can always add them again when you get other stuff in there. It's not too late necessarily. Why don't you hand me that thing of cloves, please? Again, another very fragrant. It does not take but a little couple of dashes.
It can overpower
It definitely
anything.
can. And we got another little critter here.
Okay, nope.
Oh, showing off
He
the
wants
kitty.
down,
Why don't you
probably.
let him down?
Yeah, let's put him
Besides,
down.
I need your help again, my helper. Could you please hand me, I'll tell you what, let's flip these around. There's oregano, basil, and rosemary. Would you give me the rosemary? All right. Notice how I'm not even measuring. Oops. All right. Would you please hand me the basil?
Thank you.
All right, basil is next. This time I'm going to use the
Shaking.
shaker.
Part.
I can always add more later. But obviously you need basil.
The littlest thing.
Lovely child. Would you please hand me the oregano? The middle one, that's it. Perfect.
Thank you.
And oregano. They smell good, don't they? Okay, we are getting in a good place here, I think. There's a good, nice, and colorful, and well-seasoned mirepoix. Would you very carefully hand me the blue plate with the meat?
Super careful.
All right, what I have here is just some ground chuck. Yes, ground beef, specifically ground chuck. You can use most any meat you want. I mean, you know, you probably could get away with using a leaner meat in this. I wouldn't see much use for extremely lean meat and things like burgers or stuff like that, because, you know, burgers will just be crumbly if you don't have some nice fat in it. But yeah, a good fatty meat should do, and that's about a little more than a pound, maybe a pound and a third. Depending on how much you're making, you use more meat, but you'd have to make quite a lot. I mean, for a good amount of sauce, this amount of meat is just fine. I would probably go ahead and add a little bit of salt to that, and just get it all good and chopped up. And so basically this just needs to get to where it's cooked up, where it doesn't look red anymore. You know, it is starting to get to the point where it is not looking raw anymore. And it's just basically gotten to a good brown hue here. I just love the way that looks, because you know it is getting to be just what you need it to be. You know, and I do not have, as far as I know, an ounce of Italian in me, which is...
You've been there, though.
no big deal.
You've been to Italy.
Would you believe? Yes, I have. And I almost wish I could have gone back and enjoyed it even more than I did. But
Maybe
it
someday.
was amazing. Red wine. All you gotta do is just use a decent wine. I mean, yeah, you probably don't need to go crazy expensive. Heard one Italian cook say, yeah, you should probably get a wine if you cook with. Use one that you would drink too, and that's probably right. Then you know, I'm not much of a wine drinker myself, so I guess that doesn't apply in my case. But yeah, might even have a little more wine. I have to get it, and a little more of the bubbly. All right, it's not bubbly.
It's not, but
Champagne
that's
would be bubbly.
fine. We knew what you meant.
Turning it over and over, and you actually might want to just leave it to do its thing for a few minutes, maybe just about 3 minutes or so. Let some of that body of the alcohol roll off a little bit.
And his name is Uni, by the way.
Uni is short for what?
Unicorn.
He's gonna be. He wants to be a unicorn kitty.
Well, his name is just Uni. He's just Uni. Mr. Uner.
Here, Mr. Baby.
Yep, that thing always keeps us on our toes.
He's adorable. We love.
Okay, here we are. This has been kind of going nice and easy on there for several minutes. I actually turned the heat down a bit just so it wouldn't overdo. Next thing goes in is this tomato paste. Now, of course, tomatoes are essential, and you do want to use good tomatoes. Now, I use this tomato paste I used has just been one that we have in our pantry. We got from our store, and I think it'll do just fine. But one regular 6-ounce can, probably all you need for this. You could try to rinse it out with some water, but I'm actually not going to do it with this can, but I might do it with some of the others. But I'm going to go ahead and stir that in. And you notice how when I had it going, I didn't have it going too fast. I had it going on a slow percolating, you know. And that's kind of what you want it to be when you get ready to put the lid on and let it do its thing. It's going to need to be real slow. Talk about using really good tomatoes. I would really recommend using a good Italian imported tomato. If you're going to use like crushed tomatoes, you can even get whole peeled tomatoes. I really don't care, but I think crushed tomatoes do good. You don't really, I mean, they're really just good as they are. You pour them straight out of the can into there. I got 2 large cans of them right here of this Cento brand. I mean, I'm not running a commercial for them. I'm just saying there's all good kinds of Italian brand of tomatoes there. But here's a second one. And while I'm at it, I may end up just taking a teensy bit of water. Rinsing out the side lightly. And you can just pour that in. That's really probably nothing, no more than maybe half a cup of water. But next would be diced tomatoes. Now, I didn't get the fancy kind for this. You don't have to strain them. Just add them. You're going to get a lot of the body of your sauce is going to be there. Just go ahead and spruce it up. Now that I got the tomatoes in there. Yeah, a little salt. Don't really go too crazy with it, but I got the temperature on medium at the moment, and I'm going to have to turn it down once I let this whole thing come up to temperature a bit. Then I'll want it to go real slow. Depending on what kind of stove you have, you really want to be sure that anything that's on the bottom isn't scorching. Otherwise, you're just going to have to move it off and then get your fire under control. But yeah, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of basil, just extra on top here. But yeah.
Looks great.
Yeah.
So excited.
I think I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for this to come up to speed, and then next time you see it, it's gonna have the lid on. It's just gonna be doing its thing, so I'll come back in a bit. One other ingredient that some people like is red pepper flakes. Again, these are optional, and you probably shouldn't add too much. I think that's about ready for a lid to go on. At that point, it'll probably just be sitting there undisturbed for at least an hour. This sauce has been going for a good hour and a half, and now we just boiled some pasta. I don't really think I need to do a video on that. We actually are using fettuccine. And that's one of the beauties of this. You can use spaghetti, you can use fettuccine, and actually, as it turns out, I've heard they even use thicker noodles with this, typically, because you know it adheres to the sauce better and whatnot. They even use it in layering their lasagna. So I mean, hey, no big deal. It's one of those versatile sauces, and after all, the sauce is the boss. I think it's good. Don't forget the Parmesan cheese. This, of course, is not imported, which means it's not legit Parmigiano Reggiano, but it's delicious.
You spend time with your family? You do? Good. Any man who never spends time with his family can never be a real man.
Like, subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment down below. Bye.